Howdy, y'all. This is Market Explainer, America's #1 business news podcast. But I think we're going to move on to the next story. What do you say, big man?
Absolutely.
Before we do that, I want to tell you about the new store of value. It is same as the original store of value. It's God's money, my friend. It's gold. You can click the link down in the description down below, and you can get started with Acre Gold, which is a company that lets you build up a bank of monthly subscription, and when that subscription builds up to the cost of 2.5 grams of gold, they send you the gold in the mail.
I love that. God's money. That should be.
It is. I was just watching something from Robert Kiyosaki. I don't think he's not a religious guy. From what I remember him saying, he doesn't believe in God at all. But he refers to silver and gold as God's money, which is very interesting to me.
I like that. I could see that, and not only in the one God, but it was definitely in the Greek God age, and
yes.
You know what I mean. Whatever silver and gold was absolutely the God's money.
Whatever incorrect idea you ascribe to your. We hit politics and religion in the same.
All in the same one.
So you can click the link down in the description. You can get started with Acre Gold today. We were so excited to bring them on as an advertiser because both of us are gold and silver. Hey, anytime one of my cousins or siblings has a kid, I go out and buy a couple of grams of gold, just to get them started. And one of my nephews has more money than I did when I was 20 because he was born when gold was kind of low,
at the low end. Yeah, that's nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, so this next story is so good, so hilarious. Netflix is buying up, and this is the third time they've done it. I didn't know about the other 2 times.
Yep.
They're buying up an old theater, an abandoned theater.
In SoCal.
In Southern California, which is, is this theater, like they're going to buy it and rehab it. Is anyone ever going to be allowed to go into it, though? Is the question. Which is, they should have bought. You give Danny a political inch, he's going to take a political mile. But go ahead. That's right. So they're reopening the Bay Theater at the Palisades Village. It's already opened. Actually, it opened on October 22nd. So we're recording this a little after that.
Yeah.
And this is the Horseshoe of Technology, right?
Yeah.
Warby Parker has physical locations where you can go and buy glasses.
Well, but Amazon opened bookstores again, right? Amazon opened bookstores. Go ahead.
They had purchased old Borders bookstores that had gone out of business. Stop it.
They had put out of business, by the way. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
So they put them out of business, and you could say that Netflix probably had something to do with these movie theaters going out of business, right? In some way, fashion, or form. So I think this is one of those. And look, guess what? Amazon buying the bookstores has actually been pretty successful for them, creating an atmosphere, right, and that kind of stuff. So you're right in that things are a horseshoe. So it sounds on the surface Netflix buying up, but I guarantee you they're getting these things for a deal. They're partnering with companies that probably already own the building in some way, right? So I doubt they're taking up 100% responsibility for them either. They're probably some kind of partnerships.
Right. I bet it's some sort of deal where they are, they're probably doing a lot of analytics and saying we have a lot of Netflix customers in this specific area. Here's a theater that went into bankruptcy or receivership. I'm assuming a lot of things here. I'm just suggesting that this is how it's working. I don't know that to be true. And they're saying, hey, we're going to buy up this theater. We're going to reopen it. And we're going to, because this is a complete vertical supply chain now, right? When I believe in some of the other ones they've opened, if you show that you have a Netflix account, I don't know how you do that, but you can just watch the movie for free.
Right. Well, and that's, look, there's a bunch of different ways to spin this, right? Your whole movie night out with the family, right? Or friends or date night or whatever. They essentially have no cost in licensing movies like a normal movie theater, right? You just, whatever Chris Hemsworth movie Netflix is already making, you put it out at, hey, if you live near one of these theaters, you can go see it a weekend ahead of time, you know what I mean? For $10 or whatever the normal pop. And they're not having to share that with a movie maker, They're not having to share that with anyone, right, or whatever, and it gives you a different experience. Now, do I think that Netflix is going to turn around and buy thousands of movie theaters across the country? No. I do, however, think in highly dense populated cities, SoCal, New York City, Austin, Houston, Dallas.
Yeah.
You buy up an old movie theater, right? You put these things in there. And let me tell you something, as a guy that's had, I mean, my kids are now 14, 13, and 13. So obviously for the last 14 years, right? Yeah. I've had little kids. And during the summer months and stuff like that, when they're not in school, movie theaters make so much money rerunning old Disney classics, all of these things that they've already bought and paid for a long time ago. And they'll, Little Mermaid on Tuesday. And you know what I mean? Bring the kids and it's kid friendly, whatever. And you take Netflix and they go, okay, guess what? On Monday, it's Monday, whatever day. And we're going to show these types of movies all day on Monday. We're going to show these types of movies all day on Tuesday. We're going to show, horror films on Thursday or whatever it is.
Right.
And people will come out and it's just a way for them to make extra money on the side.
And listen, the horseshoe of retail, brick and mortar, rather, where we're seeing all online businesses open a handful of retail locations, is not the same contrived notion of original retail. This is really an opportunity for them to, I think this is the Gary Veification of like customer appreciation. That's what I think it is. It gives your customers an ability to be tactile when they want to touch and feel you, the brand. They get to do that. And so for a company as big as Netflix, the premier player, the incumbent player in streaming, right? It makes perfect sense that they would go out there and buy up a theater or two in a highly dense, not just a highly densely populated city, but a city that has a lot of their subscribers where they can go, hey, you buy the most expensive, because I don't even have the cheapest Netflix membership. I have the more expensive Netflix membership, right?
Yeah.
Still no DVDs because I'm not a monster anymore, but you know what I'm saying. If you have, the whatever level and up, you can come out and have whatever it is, cocktail hour. Because Netflix is kind of like a gym membership. You kind of forget that you have it sometimes, but they keep just billing your credit card.
Well, but that's the whole point, is they have and we're going to talk about that a little bit later in our 4 story, right? But guess what? This gives them a place to hold events. If you're going to have a movie premiere, why wouldn't you have it at your own movie theater? Why wouldn't you have a red carpet at this, you know what I mean? In New York, in Austin, in SoCal and stuff like that. It gives you a place that you can have these events, you can bring people to. And like you said, people like these little tangible, right? I went to a Netflix event in SoCal, right? Or whatever. And it keeps them top of mind as well, right? So I think it just gives them freedom. I don't think it's anything that a completely new arm of Netflix or, I don't even think it's going to create an insane amount of revenue or whatever. I think it will pay for itself. I think it'll be a profitable arm, but I think relatively small and more, hey, we got to have events sometimes anyway.
Yes.
This gives us a place to have them.
And I think a city like Austin, Austin is kind of on and popping when it comes to pop culture. Have you seen they've rebooted Walker, Texas Ranger? And now
with the guy from Supernatural.
And the guy is now in Austin. And I started watching it and they did a whole 15-minute bit talking about queso. I was just like, I'm out. I quit. I mean, yes, we like queso here in Austin, but I'm just saying this is too much.
Does it need to be in all 3 of the first 3 episodes? Yeah, of him just chow. Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah. He's like, well, I went out for some queso. That's why you couldn't find me. But I think this is, I think we're going to continue to see direct-to-consumer online brands like Warby Parker, Amazon, Netflix. I think we're going to start to see smaller companies that are direct-to-consumer online realize that, hey, I need to have some sort of operation, whether it's warehousing or whatever. Why not combine that with a little retail space where my local customers can Yeah, and that listen, if that increases your customer appreciation, which increases the lifetime value of that customer, it starts to be worth it. If you guys watch a show like Shark Tank, and 13 seasons now into Shark Tank, they're talking to direct to consumer internet companies, and the one thing they always talk about: CAC, customer acquisition cost, and lifetime customer value. And if this is something that increases lifetime customer value for Netflix, as TMTG Plus comes online, and all these other, the more legitimate streaming options start to. And listen, I know people who, 2 months of Netflix cancel, 2 months of Hulu cancel, 2 months of HBO cancel. They binge everything they want to binge, and they cancel, get something else. It's a very smart strategy, actually.
But that's not most people.
That's not most people. But for those who are long-term hanger-oners, me, for instance, right?
And me.
They just added Netflix. Seinfeld just got added back to Netflix.
Yeah.
You got me. I would pay $25 a month to watch Seinfeld all over and over.
Customer acquisition cost is a real thing, so being able to maintain that and again, it'll kind of tie into our fourth story when we come around here, is kind of part of that same strategy. And I think this is just smart. It's a low cost, inexpensive maintenance, because they'll end up with maybe 10 of these eventually, right? Yeah. Total.
I don't see them having more than 15 across the country, and 15 sounds pretty like a stretch.
Yeah, and very, very strategic locations.
Oh, man, I didn't realize we had 2 Netflix stories today. Either way.